Brent Venables, Ben Arbuckle, love the team they're taking into the Cotton Bowl, and there's lots of reasons to love what they got going on.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode, we're going to discuss who needs to have a surprise performance for Oklahoma to win against Texas, whose stock is on the rise 6 weeks into the season. But he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. And here's where we're going to start. We're going to talk about what Brent Venables and Ben Arbuckle had to say during their weekly press conference. Jay, what stood out to you the most?
Well, of course, everyone asked the question, what is up with John Mateer? Is he going to play? Has he been throwing? Has he been working out? Has he been lifting his arm? All those questions, of course,
is he drinking with his right or his left?
Yeah, exactly. You know, does he write with his right hand or his left hand in class? Is he typing with both? There's so many questions everybody's asking. It's funny because, of course, Pete Thamel ruined everything from ESPN. He felt the need to drop that there's a possibility that the sources are telling him there's a possibility that John Mateer is going to play. So, of course, he would drop that like right before Brent Venables has his presser, which I feel bad for BV because we knew the questions were going to come anyway. But now there's more intense questions coming from that because not only did you get Pete Thamel from ESPN, but then Matt Zenith from CBS Sports kind of refutes a little bit of it, saying it's more of a possibility, less than that it's gonna happen, where Thamel felt more like he was kind of getting closer to being more definitive with that answer, John. So just basically put it this way, Brent Venables don't know, and he's not lying. That's the best part about the way that he was able to position how he said it was John Mateer hadn't done good on good practice yet. It was Tuesday. It hadn't happened yet. They usually don't do that until Tuesdays, usually Tuesday or Wednesday. So he wasn't lying. It's just kind of got to wait and see what the protocol and the healing goes. But besides the John Mateer 30 million questions where he cut everybody off.
So if you've ever been through like any kind of like interrogation training, they teach you something called a simple, truthful statement. Yeah. And it's something that you can say when you're under interrogation, whether it's from, immigration officials and you're just going through immigration, you're going through security, whatever it is about who you are, what you're there in the country to do. It's a simple, truthful statement. It is what it is. Okay. And if there's stuff that's in your mind that you don't want people to know, it's good to have this simple, truthful statement that you can fall back on, that's true and is not going to get you in trouble. So Brent Venables had his simple, truthful statement, his STS down pat for this press conference. He had it before Pete Thamel ever broke news, quote unquote, and he was ready to go to the podium with this, and he was ready to take on all those questions. And I applaud BV. I do. You don't have to let it all out there. You don't have to tell everybody all the things. You're going to have an availability report, and you're going to have to make that known. But beyond that, play the game. Don't hate the players, hate the game.
That's exactly it. You don't have to, like, you want to give an answer. You want to be as quote unquote truthful as possible, while at the same time you want to leave the mystery. The whole purpose of the deception with this is that, you don't want everybody to know what's actually going to happen. You want Texas to prepare for both quarterbacks.
Yep.
And at this point, as Sarkisian mentioned, we're going to have to prep for both because regardless of what the reports come out, Oklahoma can still go out there and not trot John Mateer at all. Mateer is going to be dressed. Let's just put it that way. He'll be dressed fully in helmet, in jersey, in everything as if he's going to play. We won't know until the first snap actually happened. So outside of that portion of it, Ben Arbuckle
what else stood out to you?
But Ben Arbuckle talked about that as well. But I loved how Brent Venables has focused really on this defense. He's leaned in on them. He talked about Texas and gave their props. We're not going to give Texas props here. I'm sorry, guys. It's just not going to happen today. I'm going to make John be as petty as he normally is.
I did enough of that on
media.
the live reaction show. I gave enough respect for that. I think I'm done.
I'm bringing Petty John back out. You will be Petty John moving
it's over.
forward.
It's Wednesday now. Respect has been given. It's time for rivalry week to actually happen.
Yeah, and BV gave that. But I did love how he leaned in on talking about the defensive line. You know, David Stone, all of them call themselves the dog pound. And he said that if they were out there playing like they were pansies, yeah, we'd have an issue with this. But they're leaning into it. They care. They practice hard. You can see the attention to detail in the way that they practice. And to me, that's huge because it really makes me feel like, oh, he's built a true cohesive unit in this defense. And there was one other thing I wanted to point out. Somebody asked him the question about building that type of environment in the transfer portal era. And, you know, John and BV mentioned that, you know, even this is more of a selfish, quote unquote, type era where, you know, people are a little bit more for themselves. He loves that this team and this group of guys have bought in for each other. And I've seen people point this out, like David Stone seems like one of the most selfless defensive linemen out there because he'll sacrifice himself for somebody else to get the play. And then the play ends up always coming back to his direction. And I am glad that we were able to build this type of culture. People wanted this and did not realize how much work it takes to get to this point. Here you are, guys. I would like an apology.
Yeah, and you not only see it with David Stone, but you see it all across the defensive line. You see it all across the defense. You see it with guys like Elijah Thomas, a true freshman playing on special teams. Like, it's that kind of mindset that's, hey, I'm going to give myself for the team. I'm not going to give myself for my stats, my accolades, all those things. And, you know, whether it's the guys on the interior running the stunts, it's, you know, them doing what they have to do to spy the quarterback, whatever it is. It's, you know, Kobe and Kip and Sammy, you know, being as excited for a guy like Owen Heineke to get snaps as they are for themselves. Like, that's the brotherhood that Brent Venables has always talked about building, and the culture he's always talked about building. It's being just as excited for your buddy making the play as you might be for yourself. And you truly see that, man. And that's what makes this team so much fun to watch, is like, you can see the love and the care and the enjoyment they have playing with each other and playing together, and the effort they put out. It's incredible, man. And it's going to take them a long way, because when you go and you want to fight for your brother and you want to fight for your friends, and I mean, that takes the motivation to a whole different level. It's beyond just winning games or making plays or collecting stats. It's like, you don't want to let your guy down. You want to do everything you can because you know he's going to give everything he can.
Yeah, they all give a bleep. That's probably the best way to say it. And you can tell that they care about each other and each other's success. Brent Venables even talked about like Peyton Bowen and how he's taken over as a leader in that secondary, in which this is what we was hoping for. We was hoping the 5 stars that we were bringing in would really start to take over and do these things. And you're starting to see that out of your 3s, your 4s, and your 5s. You're seeing leadership. They went and got specific types of players that they wanted on this team, and they're all blossoming. Every single one that you all hoped will blossom, they're starting to show. That is what's exciting about this. You're getting it from your guys that were 3 stars that we told y'all that, hey, don't be surprised if this player shows out. And then you get your 5 stars that, hey, just give the 5 stars some time. They're going to find their space. They've all found it. We're starting to see that on that side of the ball. Now, offensively, there's a lot more transfers in there than there are recruits. We're going to build that portion of it up. Offense is a little bit easier because you can bring in a whole bunch of dudes into the portal and they can work together and make it a little bit better of a unit. Defense is where it's the toughest. And Brent Venables has now built that from the foundations of recruiting. Like, look at it, John. You've got one dude in the interior that's a transfer on the defensive line. You've got one edge that's a transfer out there. And you got the safety in Kendall Daniels / linebacker / edge. The defense is all dudes they recruited. Like, who else can say that? Who else can point that and say, well, actually, our entire defense is really built on dudes that we brought in? I mean, Kendall Dobie is another one that's, well, actually, he's considered a recruit because he's JUCO. Yeah. So he technically counts as a recruit. So Yeah, you went and got the dudes you wanted specifically. And this is why I always talked about how this staff has shown that they really like their players.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you see them playing their guys more than anything. And then they kind of supplement with transfer. So offensively, we've got a lot of supplemental dudes in there that we're still working with. We're still trying to get molded. And I mean, Deion Burks has been here, quote unquote, the longest, him and Fabici. Now hopefully you'll start to see them to blossom into something bigger.
Yeah, it's going to take some time to kind of rebuild the offensive culture and identity, but hopefully we get Ben Arbuckle for a few years and that he's able to do that. Whose stock is up as Oklahoma's 5 games into the season, 6 weeks into 2025? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Mazda Craft Cars, for those who do more than simply move. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention on how we craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved.
And most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. For my wife and I, we got real busy this summer, but we have big goals over the next couple of years, and we were finding that, hey, we've got finances in multiple places, and we need to kind of get it all organized a little bit better. And we need to figure out what our spending's like so that we can better save. And we're able to do that through Monarch Money. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, Oklahoma's 5-0. We're 6 weeks into the 2025 college football season. What do you make of this team? Whose stock has risen the most since the start of the season?
Oh, it's definitely David Stone's, man.
Yeah.
Like we talked about him last segment, kind of calling this group the dog pound. I feel like he has 100% given us the 5-star treatment that we have been hoping for and praying for out of him coming in. I remember, what was that, in the spring when he entered the transfer portal, and we went live that night to talk about it. And then the next day he left the transfer portal and came back, and we did a live on that one as well. And the biggest stressor for us was that he may contribute this year, he may not, but the following year, 26, he's definitely probably going to be that dude. He's already became that guy. He has shown so much growth. And like I said, I mentioned this in the other segment, John, that the thing that jumps out to me the most is how he sacrifices himself. He's so selfless when it comes to his rushes, to where not only does he rush and put a wall on one side of the ball, he doesn't stop his pursuit. And if you've ever heard me, any of the uninitiated here, if you've ever listened to me talk about recruits, whenever we have a commitment, and I talk about defensive players, even before I started here on Locked On with you, John, that was the one thing I pointed out when I noticed some of the recruits they were going after. The endless pursuit, regardless of if the play was their direction or not. That R. Mason Thomas play against Auburn when he chased down Jeremiah Cobb, that still sticks in my brain often, because that is the relentless pursuit that Brent Venables had in this staff. Bates, Chavis, Hall, all of them chase when they go after recruits, are guys that, regardless of size, you're going to keep chasing after the play and keep going, and we're going to reward you by leaving you on the field, or we'll pull you out, give you a couple breaths to go back in. But these dudes don't stop. So to me, Stoney has shown me that, yep, you can be trusted in here any time of the game. Of course, G Baby, he's shown us he can be trusted. He's rated as a top 120 guy for the NFL draft. Jaden Jackson as well, but I think Stone is the one that jumped up the most. But there's one other player, though, that I can also say too, but I'm going to let you go first.
Well, let me just talk about David Stone for a second, because, I mean, the numbers are off the charts. So there are 17 guys that have at least 100 snaps on this defense in 2025. He's the highest graded player among those 17 players. David Stone is. He's third on the team in total pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. He is number one in their stop metric. Now, their stop metric uses the analytics based on success rate. Where you make a tackle matters. He's number one. He's number one currently among interior defensive linemen. Now, Jaden Jackson, Dominic Williams, they sat out against Kent State. Didn't need to play him, so he got a lot more snaps there. But he's arrived. David Stone is here. You know, he's playing as much as Marvin Jones Jr., who's got 148 snaps. David Stone's got 137. Taylor Wine at 132. So, like, he is playing starter level snaps. And, you know, we might have been kind of sleeping on the developmental piece, but he made a big jump this offseason and he's obviously earned his playing time, and he's doing the most with his playing time so far. Who was the other guy that you kind of thought of, Jay, that you were thinking of talking about?
Brent Venables talked about him. Peyton Bowen.
Okay.
Kid's been everywhere this season, and you can see the leadership in him. I put it this way. The one thing that we were hoping for out of him is similar to what we got out of Billy Bowman in his era here, is being a ball hawk and being all over the place. Peyton has shown us that as well. He's done a really good job of just being in spaces that you're like, oh, okay, you know where the ball is. Coverage grade, he's doing fine. He got 200 snaps on the season. But he does a really good job of just being in the right spots to cause problems. And you can tell he's a leader. He's a vocal leader. He is the one that you see in the secondary, which I thought was going to be Robert Spears-Jennings this year. Surprisingly, it's not. Peyton's the one directing people where to go. He's helping point people to where they need to be. He's helping push people up and down or whatnot. He's taken ownership of that, and BV talked about it. We're getting that experience that we thought we were going to get out of Peyton Bowen. And I expect him most likely, depending on how the season ends, I still expect him to come back for one more year. But then you'll have him with Boganowski, with Reggie Powers, and you'll see some more Jaden Hardy out there as well. You'll have that trio of safeties that we're really excited about next season with him still leaning around. And man, it's going to be fun, because then you'll still have two more dudes right behind them that are younger that you're excited about in Omarion, Robinson, Man, as well as Wimberly. But hey man, Peyton Bowen has given us a lot of things to be excited about and excitement about him being on this team still. So him and his little brother, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, the name that comes up to me is Jaren Kanik. I remember when he was first listed as the tight end one atop the depth chart, we kind of all just thought maybe they were just throwing him a bone because he busted his tail so much over the offseason to transition to tight end. I didn't necessarily think it was going to stick. And through 5 games, he's been awesome. He's number 2 on the team in receiving. Is the blocking something that has to continue to get better? Yeah, it does. But this is the first year that he's ever been asked to block, probably in his entire life, because he was a high school Wildcat quarterback. So he's probably not blocking a whole lot then. And with his speed and athleticism, I highly doubt that even in Pee Wee football, they were asking him to play along the offensive line. So this is all very new to the kid, but he's playing really good football, and he's become an X factor for this team.
Yeah, it's crazy you said that. He's second, second in yards at 325, which that he has surpassed Bauer Sharp's statistics last year. Now in yards, he already passed him up. He's second in the team in YAC too, in yards after catch at 166. John, so
more than half of his yards have come after the catch.
After the catch,
yeah.
We knew that he was fast, and I told people numerous. I've actually had a couple buddies that I've argued with. They're like, "Hey man, I don't believe those track numbers." No, he was a 10-3 guy in high school in Kansas.
You have to believe track numbers.
Yes.
Those are official times. Those are not like some guy in his warehouse somewhere with his own stopwatch. No, those are like official track times from competition.
Yeah, but I get why they say it, and it's only because he's put on like 20 or 30 pounds since he ran those numbers. So I get them while at the same time. You're right. Those are official times. He's still got some of that speed. It's still there. And so, but yeah, no, Jaren Kanik is definitely a great one, along with Isaiah Satania, man. We've been pretty lucky and blessed in the way that players moving around, some of the transfers that have come in, and how they've bought in on the culture. Like you said, we're still building up that offensive culture, especially with Ben Arbuckle being the new head coach. But at some point, that's going to click well enough to go perfectly with the offense. The key thing is always at quarterback, but that clicking with the defense, in which defense next year should be just as good. Oh man, 26 should be a fun year for us.
So in addition to whose stock is up, as we get ready for OU Texas, who has to have a big game, and maybe who's going to be a surprise performer in this one? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun and simple way to add more excitement to football games. You just pick more or less on player projections, like Baker Mayfield's passing yards in the game, or you can look at the running game and go with like a Saquon Barkley or even a Jalen Hurts rushing for a touchdown. You pick them, you're in the game. And so for me, it's quick and easy to get your lineups going. Takes you less than a minute to truly set those up. And one of the new features they have a new injury reboot feature. If your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. It means they're taking care of the gamer. So download the PrizePick app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. OU Texas just a few days away, and we know the guys that are going to be key players in this one. Jay, who's somebody that's flying under the radar right now that you think has to step up and have a big game for Oklahoma to win this one?
Honestly, I think it's going to either be a combination. I think it's going to be a combo of Torrey Blaylock and Jay Knott. I do think that they're going to have an opportunity to actually run the ball in between the tackles and pick up some big yards and some big plays. Florida was able to figure that out. I know Texas is going to be focused on making sure that they clean a lot of that up, but our offensive line is actually solid as far, especially with pass blocking. If we can get the run blocking piece going, man, we should be good. Like, I don't want us to do a lot of the outside stuff. I really want us to attack their interior defensive line, because I've mentioned they had to go to the portal and get 5 interior guys, which told me they had 0 interior guys that they felt super confident with playing, because you don't go get 5 if you, with all of the recruits that they brought in, you don't go get 5 dudes if you really feel good about them. So to me, you go attack that immediately. Go beat that up. Do the same thing Florida did. And just pound it, and get these guys to get more mean and make them realize, hey, this is Red River. They don't like you. We don't like them. Go in there, push them around, focus on that component, and give whoever the quarterback is time, but make sure that Torrey Blaylock and Jay Knott has an opportunity to show out finally this season.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, offensively, you've got to see one of your wide receivers other than Isaiah Satania have a big day. And I think Deion Burks would be kind of the obvious choice here, but from a surprise perspective, I'm going to go with Ivan Carrion. That's a Texas native, someone who I'm sure is very well versed in OU Texas. I bet he's going to be quite excited to play in this game and actually have a role in this one. I don't expect Keontez Lewis to play. I do expect them to try and limit Isaiah Satania's touches over the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. And that's going to create some opportunity for Ivan Carrion in the middle third, where this team has been able to find some success in the intermediate passing game. He had a big play last week against Kent State. I imagine he'll have another opportunity for a big play as well. And we've seen at times the Texas defense struggle with pass coverage. So if Ivan Carrion can get some targets and make some plays. I mean, he's got good hands. He's shown capable of making the spectacular catch. He could be one of those guys that has one of those OU Texas lore kind of games, because they're going to be so focused on Satania and Burks and Jaren Kanik that counting on him, he's going to get a lot of opportunities.
I think that's a good point too. I think at wide receiver, you're going to need some guys to truly step up. For me, with you picking carry on, that's actually that's a good one, because I think that they're probably going to try to leverage his size in a lot of this, as you kind of made mention of. If I was to go with another wide receiver, I'm thinking that Jaren Kanik has an opportunity to also do something. We know Giovanni Gibson's going to play, but he's on a snaps limit. It's basically proven in this game. They're going to limit his snaps. So you're going to get Giovanni Gibson. You're just not going to get a lot of Giovanni Gibson. You might. I mean, I think he played like 20-something snaps last game, so he may jump up into the 30 range in this game. He may get about 30, 35 snaps. So I expect him to play. But I think Jaren Kanik has a good chance, especially because I know that him and Michael Hawkins kind of have a chemistry piece, especially from like the Navy game. If they go out there and do that again in this Texas game, especially if Michael Hawkins plays, hey man, there's a shot. But like you said, I expect Texas to really key in on Satania. They know that both quarterbacks like throwing it to him. They know both quarterbacks can go after him. But outside of that, this is the game that Burks can actually now show out. All the attention was on you to start, and Satania has taken advantage of it, which is perfect. Now it can turn. The tides can turn over to you, where they're like, okay, we got to stop Satania because we know they're going to go to him. Start hitting Burks across the middle more often, and I can see him breaking out. I need him to break out on a catch and just outrun everybody like we know he can.
Yeah, it's time for him to have that big play for sure. And again, I think the offensive line has to have their best game of the season this week.
Yeah.
You can't go into this one playing the way you played against Kent State. You've got to play closer to the Michigan game, closer to the Auburn game, and maybe even better than that, because I think Texas's defense is better than either of those two defenses. So now's the time. The challenge is there. Accept it. Rise to the occasion. If you do that, Oklahoma's going to have a great chance to win.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. All you got to do is step up and show everybody that you got this. We got to lock in, man. This is Texas. We want Texas to feel the pain. I want them to continue to be hurting. I want them to continue to be sad. I need us to keep the streak alive that they haven't won 2 games in a row in a while. I want us to keep that going. If we can keep that going, I'm satisfied. And this is an opportunity for it. I mean, they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Parker Livingstone is he's going to be available, but we know he's going to be limited because of that knee. Mosley has been limited the last few games. He should be somewhat back. They've got some injuries at corner. This is the game we need to take advantage of the fact that they're hurt and push them around and make it happen. I mean, we caused a lot of problems for Michigan when we played against them. This is the same thing that we need to do to this team. And Michigan, to me, their offensive line is way better than Texas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for the Oklahoma defensive line to have another big week. We saw it a couple weeks ago against Auburn with the officially 9 sacks. David Stone probably should have gotten credited for one when he tackled Jackson Arnold at the line of scrimmage, but he didn't. So here we are. And we saw him play well against Bryce Underwood in Michigan. This is another great opportunity for this defensive line to really establish themselves as the best defensive line in college football. If they can put up big numbers, and really if they can contain Arch and they can limit the damage that he can do as a runner, then Oklahoma is going to have every opportunity to win this game, regardless of who's playing quarterback, because I just don't think Texas is going to run away from the Oklahoma offense.
I don't either. I don't think that Texas is going to be able to just easily. This year, this game is going to be a lot tougher to me a lot tougher this year than last year for Texas. Last year, you thought even with all of our struggles, we started off with a good fight. The defense could do so much, but it didn't have enough healthy bodies to keep it going. Well, I think we've got that now, and that, to me, because we've got that, it should be a really tough one for our Texas brethren down in the South.
Yep. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube for more Oklahoma Sooners and college football coverage. I'm John Williams. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms, where we'll have so much more Oklahoma coverage, Oklahoma, Texas coverage this week with great interviews with other hosts on the Locked On Network. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell for all of the great content coming your way. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner.